Hey everyone, doing this one thing is guaranteed to increase your organization's profit by 28%. So what is this secret formula? Well, it's your company's culture. The simple truth is this: a bad culture equals low employee engagement, which causes high turnover and low performance. And a great culture equates to an engaged workforce that is creative. It outperforms the competition and it brings record revenue and profitability. Now, isn't it interesting that sickness is contagious but health isn't? Culture is the exact same way. Everyone must buy into what the mission is. You can't force them. I'm Coach Lex, and this is 3 Tips in 3 Minutes. I bring you leadership tips you can use today that work. Company culture has been a popular buzzword for several years, but what does it mean? Well, really, it's the heartbeat of the company. It's how things get done around here. There was a massive study by Forbes that showed some very disturbing things. It showed that 63% of the American workforce is not engaged. 87% lack motivation to perform at an acceptable level. And this lack of engagement is caused by a culture that they don't believe in or support. So here are 3 things that you can begin doing today. So tip number 1, reinforce the 4 staples of a strong culture. You have to start by understanding what the staples of a strong culture are. The Energy Project joined forces with the Harvard Business Review in a massive study of hundreds of companies and interviews, and it discovered that those staples are physical health, emotional well-being, mental clarity, and spiritual significance. So think back to a time when you try to change someone's behavior or performance at work by threatening them with a do it or else, or because I'm the boss and I said so mentality. Their behavior might have changed, but probably only for a short period of time. Then the behavior showed up again. This is a lot like the mentality that your people are your greatest asset or resource, and they aren't. Treat people like a resource and these 4 staples will not be met. But if you treat them like real people with real hearts that have hurts, habits and hang-ups, and then you'll have step 1 in creating a great culture. Did you know in 2008, during one of the hardest economic times in recent memory, Sony began focusing on the 4 staples and not on performance. And the result was their greatest financial year in their history. Tip number 2, spread kindness and empathy. So you can overcome poor attitudes that include office politics with kindness and empathy. As a leader, if you take the time to develop your emotional intelligence, especially in the arena of empathy, you will see the beginnings of a culture that can become a real competitive advantage for you. Make it a priority to hire people that are kind and have a high EQ. When this happens, you have a team that understands each other. Sales understands marketing, marketing understands finance, operations understands HR. Most importantly, though, everyone understands the customer. Great leaders spread kindness and empathy every day by being present in the moment and through weekly one-on-ones with their direct reports. And tip number 3, build trust and clarity. Your communication must have absolute clarity. Just because you said it doesn't mean they heard it, and it sure doesn't mean that they believe it or will do it. When you communicate, make sure you're clear about what you expect, what you want, and what you will provide. You must also make sure they understand why it's important to the company and to them. Once you do this, trust them to carry it out. Empower them. See, most leaders communicate what they want clearly, but don't trust their people to go and do it. When it comes to your people, you can either have control or you can have growth, but you can't have both. Be okay with the outcome, even if the process is different than what you would have done. I think Jesus was the perfect example of this. In Matthew 28, he gave very clear instructions of what he expected and what he would provide, and then he left them and he allowed them to go do it. Building a great culture or fixing a bad one, it's not an overnight task. It's a process of the leaders in the highest positions communicating the mission and, most importantly, living out the mission. So good luck with your journey, and I'm Coach Lex, encouraging you to be world famous.